As I settled in to watch episode 3 of the brilliant healer's new life in the shadows, titled Turf War, I was both curious and skeptical about how this anime would build on its shaky start. The series, adapted from Sakaku Hishikawa's light novel, follows Zenus, a self-taught healer from the slums who, after being discarded by an adventuring party, opens an underground clinic and gains a reputation among the city's underbelly. Episode 2 finally gave us Zenus' backstory and introduced key players like Lily, the elf girl, and various demi-human gang leaders. I hoped episode 3 would deliver the depth and momentum the series promised. And while it didn't entirely blow me away, it offered enough intrigue, heart, and tension to keep me hooked. Let's unpack this episode through several themes: narrative progression, character dynamics, world building, visual and auditory execution, and emotional resonance, while I share what thrilled me, what frustrated me, and what left me anticipating more. Episode 3, which already aired on April 17, 2025, dives into a conflict teased in the previous episode, a potential turf war among the slum's demi-human gangs, lizardmen, werewolves, and ogres, each vying for influence and intrigued by Zenus' healing prowess. I really appreciate how the episode opens with Loie, the ogre leader, confronting Zenus, her presence exuding a mix of menace and curiosity. The premise of Zenus being caught in a three-way standoff is gripping. It's a classic neutral party in a power struggle setup that could showcase his cunning or compassion. I think the writers nailed the initial tension, with Loie's challenge to Zenus' neutrality setting up a high-stakes scenario. However, I was a bit let down by the pacing. The turf war, hyped as the episode's centerpiece, resolves too quickly, leaning on Zenus' healing to defuse tensions rather than exploring the gang's deeper motivations. I personally don't understand why the show didn't linger on the political nuances of the slums. Why are these groups at odds? What's at stake beyond pride? The episode hints at Zenus' impartiality as a strength, but I didn't like how it sidestepped a meteor conflict for a feel-good resolution. Still, I can't deny the satisfaction of seeing Zenus stay true to his principles, healing all sides without picking favorites. It's a small but meaningful step in his arc, though I anticipate the show needs to raise the stakes soon to avoid feeling repetitive. Zenus, voiced by Shogo Sakata, remains the heart of the series, and I'm starting to warm to his understated resilience. In episode 3, he's not just a healer but a mediator, navigating the egos of Zofia, the lizard man, Linga, the werewolf, and Loie. I really appreciate how Zenus' slumborn pragmatism shines through. He's not swayed by power plays and focuses on saving lives, even if it means risking his own safety. That said, I'm against the show's heavy-handed harem elements, which episode 3 doubles down on. The demi-human girls, Lily, Zofia, Linga, and now Loie, fawn over Zenus. And while their banter is occasionally charming, it feels forced and detracts from the story's grit. I don't think the harem dynamic adds depth to Zenus' character. Instead, it risks reducing the women to tropes. Lily, for instance, is sweet but underdeveloped beyond her gratitude to Zenus, and I didn't like how her role in this episode was mostly domestic, cooking, fretting. Carmilla, the ghost girl, gets a brief moment to shine with her cryptic warnings, and I'm intrigued by her potential, but the episode doesn't give her enough screen time. I also anticipate that the show will need to flesh out these characters' backstories to make their loyalty to Zenus feel earned rather than convenient. The voice acting, particularly Yoko Hikasa's Carmilla and Satomi Arai's Zofia, adds personality, but I think the script needs to give them more to work with. One aspect I really appreciate about episode 3 is its glimpse into the slum's ecosystem. The show paints a vivid picture of a lawless underbelly where gangs rule, healers need licenses, and Zenus' unlicensed clinic is both a beacon and a target. I love the idea of a world where healers are elite, almost aristocratic, while Zenus' self-taught skills challenge that hierarchy. The turf war hints at deeper societal issues, class divides, demi-human marginalization, but I'm frustrated that the episode only scratches the surface. I personally don't understand why we didn't get more context about the gang's histories or the royal palace's looming interest in Zenus, which is teased but not explored. The setting feels alive when Zenus navigates the abandoned town, with its dilapidated buildings and tense alleyways, but I didn't like how the episode rushed through these moments to focus on harem antics. I think the show has a chance to stand out if it leans into its darker themes, slavery, betrayal, and systemic inequality, rather than falling back on lighthearted fantasy tropes. I anticipate the royal palace's notice will bring new threats, and I'm eager to see how Zenith's underground status clashes with official power structures. Emotionally, Episode 3 tugs at the heartstrings but doesn't fully land the punch. Zenith's resolve to heal everyone, regardless of allegiance, is genuinely moving, and I really appreciate how it ties to his slum roots. He's been the underdog, so he empathizes with the marginalized. A scene where he heals a wounded gang member, despite the risk, had me rooting for him. However, I didn't like how the episode leaned on predictable tropes, like the harem's adoration or the quick resolution of the turf war. I personally don't understand why the show shies away from letting Zenith fail or face tougher moral dilemmas. It would make his victories more impactful. Lily's gratitude and the gang leader's eventual respect feel earned but formulaic, and I think the episode could have pushed harder to explore Zenith's inner conflict. Does he ever doubt his path? I anticipate future episodes might delve into his past trauma or the mysterious mentor who taught him healing, which could add the depth I'm craving. For now, the episode left me hopeful but not fully satisfied. Reflecting on Episode 3, I think the brilliant healer's new life in the shadows is finding its footing but hasn't yet hit its stride. The turf war concept was exciting, and Zenith's principled stance kept me engaged, but I'm against the over-reliance on harem cliches and the rushed pacing. I really appreciate the world-building potential and the emotional core of Zenith's journey, yet I didn't like the missed opportunities for deeper conflict or character development. Visually and musically, it's a mixed bag, with moments of brilliance overshadowed by budget constraints. I anticipate the show could become a standout if it embraces its darker themes and gives its cast more to do. For now, Episode 3 is a solid, if flawed, chapter that kept me curious about Zenith's future. I'd give it a cautious 7 out of 10, and I'm sticking around for what's next, hoping the Royal Palace's interest shakes things up. If you're a fan of underdog stories with a touch of fantasy grit, this episode won't blow you away, but it'll keep you intrigued enough to stay seated.